Aave/rsETH has a live security story, and the real issue is how losses and confidence get repaired. The exploit or breach matters because losses, confidence, and recovery burden move together once trust breaks. Aave Releases Detailed is the search phrase that fits this story because Aave's rsETH incident report turns a bridge exploit into a balance sheet question. How much bad debt lands on the protocol, and who ends up absorbing it? That matters for depositors, lenders, or enterprise users because trust falls much faster than it rebuilds after a security event. The real problem is that even a contained technical issue can widen once users question recovery, custody, or collateral quality. Start with the mechanism. The attack allegedly forged a verification packet on Kelp's Unichain-to-Ethereum rsETH root, released unbacked rsETH, then used a large portion as collateral to borrow WETH and wstETH on Aave. In plain English, the first question is what was exposed, the second is who eats the loss, and the third is whether users can trust the fix. For users, the simple translation is this: if collateral, keys, or vendor access fail, the recovery path becomes part of the product itself. That is why a move like this can look exciting on the surface and still carry far more risk once you ask who is actually providing the liquidity, the capital, the legal cover, or the operational support. The context matters too. Two reported loss scenarios range from roughly $123.7 million to $230.1 million, while noting that Aave froze reserves and says its own contracts behaved as designed. That backdrop is important because security stories do not end when the exploit stops. They end when users believe the system can withstand the next test. Trust does not recover on a press line. It recovers when users believe the weak link has actually been isolated. For people searching Aave Releases Detailed, that bigger backdrop is useful because it explains why this story landed now instead of last month. But context is not the same thing as proof. Here is the split between what is firm and what still needs more evidence. Aave's rsETH incident report turns a bridge exploit into a balance sheet question: how much bad debt lands on the protocol, and who ends up absorbing it? The unresolved part is how rsETH losses will be allocated across chains and whether treasury resources, ecosystem support, or security modules are ultimately used. That is the line between a contained incident and a system-wide confidence problem. Viewers can easily mistake a live headline, a chart move, or a product announcement for a complete answer when it may only be the first visible piece. So who feels this first? That matters for depositors, lenders, or enterprise users because trust falls much faster than it rebuilds after a security event. In practical terms, the market is now being asked to price not only the headline event, but also the follow-through. Execution risk, adoption risk, liquidity quality, legal clarity, or recovery credibility, depending on how the next few sessions unfold. If the follow-through is weak, users start to price in not just the last incident, but the probability of another one. That is where the trust problem becomes more expensive than the original technical failure. The next recovery and trust signal to watch is this: watch governance decisions on bad debt coverage, umbrella treatment, and whether Kelp or related parties commit real recovery capital. For this video, the most useful close is a concrete one. Watch governance decisions on bad debt coverage, umbrella treatment, and whether Kelp or related parties commit real recovery capital. If that signal appears, the story gets stronger. If it does not, the current read can fade quickly. The next clean read on Aave Releases Detailed is not a louder slogan. It is whether the next measurable step confirms the same pressure, demand, or trust signal that made this headline matter in the first place.